Listen, we've got fans from all over the world. Check this out. This is who all is tuned in so far. We've got Alberta, we've got Pennsylvania, California, Michigan, Kentucky, Oregon, Oklahoma, New Jersey,
Oh my
Tennessee. Let's see. We've got Illinois, San Bruno. Like we've got all kinds of people. So
wow.
This is awesome.
Howdy, folks. So
Yes,
good to hear that.
Yes.
All places we want to come to, by the way.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I pray COVID.
So this is kind of a weird question, but how has 2020 been treating you up till this point? Have you guys been staying safe and sane, managing pretty well?
It's been a crazy year.
Yes.
Very crazy.
Yeah.
I can totally understand.
Seen better years.
Yes. This will be one for the history books, but hopefully we're coming out of it with more smiles than anything.
Let's hope so. Well, today seems to be
You're coming out with more smiles.
Yeah, sure. Definitely coming out with more smiles.
Oh yeah.
Yes, more smiles, not right now.
Yeah.
Congratulations, everybody. Congratulations to your president-elect, Joe Biden, and your vice president-elect, Senator Kamala Harris.
There we go.
Very, very good. Very excited for you.
Very awesome. Very, very awesome. All right, so let's jump into this because this is a show that is penultimate. It is the pinnacle of so many things for so many people. Collectively, you literally ruled Saturday mornings as the Merry Mutants. And were you familiar with the X-Men as characters? Larry, this is an unfair question. I already know. Matter of fact, we'll save you for last. So everyone else, were you familiar with the X-Men before you were cast?
Go for it, Cal.
Yeah,
I was very much so.
Okay. That's what I'm talking about.
I remember when the very first X-Men comic book came out.
Nice.
Wow.
That's what I'm talking about.
10.
I love it.
I think I bought it.
I must have been about 2 then.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, I think I was 2.
That's awesome. And Beast being one of the original characters, that had to be something really cool to kind of.
Now you're 4.
On the golf course, I use that a lot.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Chris, what about you? Were you familiar with the X-Men much?
I was only familiar with George and Lenore and Cal and Allison. I was more familiar with the cast and kind of a fan of the people I was working with, although they didn't know that at the time. But I didn't know anything about the X-Men. Wow. And it was and I really didn't realize how much impact that the animated series had until, frankly, many years later.
Wow.
Part of it was my lack of knowledge about it, but also being in Canada. We just didn't realize what impact it was having. And so, no, I didn't know.
Wow. That's
it's
incredible.
also information that wasn't shared.
True. Pre-internet days, no chat rooms. So I can definitely see.
Yeah.
Lenore, what about you?
And I didn't know anything about it.
Really?
I did not know the X-Men. No, I did not. And we were just told we were auditioning for an X project, like Project X. But that could have been anything, right? I thought it's a
Lenore
mysterious project.
For so many projects called X project.
It's not true. Well, I was a scream queen in my 20s. Let's put it that way. I did a lot of horror films. I did do a lot of horror films, and of course, horror films involve young women in their underwear half the time.
But you did a lot of.
That's hard to believe.
Listen, IMDb is about to hit a huge spike right now.
Right.
That's right.
Flaunt it.
That's right.
There's flaunting and then there's flaunting.
Now, Larry, when did you come into the X-Men franchise? When did you first fall in love with them?
I guess I fell in love with them back in the 60s, man. When I was a kid growing up, I bought the books off the newsstands.
Yes.
And I followed the X-Men since it was created by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee.
That's right.
So I pretty much knew all the history of the X-Men up until the point when we got the show on the air.
That's awesome.
And I had all of this. I tell people I had all of this useless trivia that wouldn't give me employment, and it was only useful on the show. You know,
We appreciate you doing that sincerely. Like some of the different cameos that you worked in there were a highlight to young comic book fans like myself, who could name, the random people that are popping up. I'm like, oh, I know who that is. I get that reference. That's it. That's amazing. Okay, so obviously I expect a bit of bias here, but is your character your favorite X-Men now, or do you kind of have a leaning towards respect of other characters?
Who's that to?
Everyone. Yeah, I want everyone to come in on this one. Who is your favorite X-Men?
Sugar. I still love Rogue. Rogue is still my favorite, but I have a little soft spot for Gambit, of course.
Yes, we all do.
Which only grows over the years, but no, I love all the characters, but I love Rogue is one of my favorite characters I ever played in my entire career.
I love that.
Yeah.
I was totally in love with Beast.
That's awesome. I mean, he was fantastic. He was like that sweet, subtle accent of the longtime comic book goodness to the show that they didn't overuse. In fact, I think they kind of underused him. I needed more Beast in the first season, but that's just me. But I definitely understand that. I definitely. Chris, what about you?
Oh boy. Well, I love them all equally. That's the truth. But I loved playing Gambit for sure. Awesome. I think I always really liked Wolverine as a character, and I love the Canadian aspect of Wolverine. I thought that was representing our country. Yeah. But Gambit, you can't help but feel like an outsider when you play a character like Gambit. So he wasn't as inclusive. So that, I guess, I don't have a favorite. I'm just happy to be part of all of it.
Hey, frankly. I respect that. I definitely respect that. Cal, you don't like Wolverine at all, do you? I mean, you obviously shy away from every reference.
No, that was you couldn't release any tension being that character at all. No release of any tension. They never left that. Whoever the writers were just brilliant. And I loved Rogue's voice because I always loved her voice, and it was I just loved listening to her. And I liked Cable. I like Gambit. Beast was, of course, my favorite. Like in the show, I think he was too. But I just like Gambit because he was like the ladies' man and a groovy dude.
Suave.
He was absolutely
this one. Come on, chef. And
Chris, it's totally your fault that I took French in high school. Like it's literally your fault, Chris.
And Bishop. I like Bishop, and was it Bishop that called? Wolverine called him Rookie, didn't he?
Yes.
Gotta back off, Rookie. And he called Wolverine, "Shut up, old man." That kind of stuff. I like Bishop too, and Cable.
If I
like
could
Sabretooth too.
Yeah, I think that.
Sabretooth was phenomenal, and I spent most of the time with God bless him, with Sabretooth doing our fighting scenes. That's all it was screaming. You could not talk, let alone sing after doing an hour with Sabretooth.
I think as far as my working memories doing this would have been working with Norm Spencer. I found myself. I often found myself in the studio with Norm because he was always cherry picking the small roles, and so he was always there. And he was, and as Cyclops, of course, he played, but he was one entertaining guy to be around.
Yeah.
And so he was a favorite of mine too.
Of course.
Absolutely.
For the fans,
what a sense of humor he
recently passed, so it is in true memorial that we bring him up today. Larry, did you have any other favorite characters?
Oh, he better be careful. This is a
yeah. This has got tense.
Favorite. Hey, look, my favorite has been all of these guys and gals.
Of course.
I mean, they were perfect for this show we got on the air. Most people don't remember. Myself, Will Mineo, and Rick Holberg, we tried to get the X-Men on the air first time. I did Pride of the X-Men.
Pride of the X-Men.
And we got that to a point, and it didn't sell. And so, but we did our best back then. But we did our really best when we got all of these actors together and put on the show, and it lasted for 5 years. So for me, it's all of these voice actors made the show.
Now, do you think that would have happened, Larry, if our dollar was not worth a lot less than yours? Do you think that you would have come to Canada and used Canadian cast members?
I think, but I think Saban had a big hand in that.
Well, there had to be something about the time because so many of you come from other places. I mean, Cal, you're from Ireland. Lenore, you're born in Australia. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
George, you're from Cleveland. So for you guys to all end up in Canada, that's got to be like, was there like a voice acting troupe that you guys were a part of? They just kind of grouped this
sure.
you guys?
No, it was meant to be. It was meant to happen. That's
yeah.
That's amazing.
Canada's kind of a magnet.
It seems like it. It seems like for Mutant specifically. I mean, right?
Yes.
It kind of works. It kind of works. We actually
Especially if you're from Cleveland.
Well, I mean, you're just like right there. You're right there.
Well, also it's Cleveland, and not to disparage Cleveland, but
yeah, my mom's from Cleveland. I can't say anything bad about Cleveland. I'll get
my best friend's from Cleveland. Yeah.
When I was in high school, our river burned for 3 days.
Yes, that is a true
remember
Cleveland
that.
fact. That is a true Cleveland fact. Oh my goodness. So we've got some questions from fans that are no, never. Not
you couldn't break the surface.
We've got some questions from
getting back to Saban. Cal mentioned Saban, or Larry did, and I thought they were very, very fair that they didn't charge each of us very much to play the roles. We
got to pay in Canadian funds.
I've almost paid off my debt to Saban.
Wow!
And once that's clear, it'll be a happy day for me.
Clear sailing from here. That's it.
I'm still paying for the jacket.
More for the jacket. Wow!
Yeah, Saban was never known to be very generous with anything.
You know what's funny, and I see it back there with Lenore.
He was generous to his home builders.
They talk about that, about the production side and the super generous financial backgrounds that they had there. So does that make the
so you saw my book though, eh?
Oh yes.
Yes. And and see my characters, my models.
I love it.
Gambit and Rogue. I got that at one of the Comic-Cons that we were at.
I love it.
They came together and you put them together.
Yeah, well, that actually fits perfectly. So Aaron Agoa has a question. What favorite Disney couple would you want Rogue and Gambit to double date with? If you could Disney pairing, who's going to double date with Rogue and Gambit? I personally have a choice, but I'm going to let y'all go first.
I don't even know a Disney couple. Go ahead.
Disney couple. I don't know. You give me an idea. Who are you thinking?
I would say Aladdin and Jasmine. I think Aladdin and Gambit as thieves would get along really well.
True.
A lot of who can sleight of hand the best, and the ladies would have a ball. So
is there another option?
Is there another? Absolutely.
I think Minnie Mouse and Goofy would be good. That's the two of them. Minnie Mouse and Goofy.
How about Beauty and the Beast?
There we go. I like that. That would be a very royal hangout. I like that a lot. That's
actually I like the idea of Jasmine too. I'd like to meet her and Aladdin. Yeah, that would be pretty damn cool.
That would. I think a good another one would be Lady and the Tramp.
Oh, that'd be cute. We could slurp spaghetti together.
In the Tramp, Gambit and Rogue.
Maybe Gambit and Rogue could be slurping spaghetti right up until their lips almost touch.
And then your powers kick in, and he passes.
And then we would put you on a screen at the Sky Dome.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
At a little Italian cafe with a little guy with a mustache playing the fiddle violin.
La Bella Notte.
Yeah, there you go.
La Bella Notte.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Chris? Good idea?
I would watch that.
Yeah.
I would definitely watch that. Oh, we lost his ears for a second.
Yeah, but you watched every episode 3 times, Victor.
I mean,
I think you would watch anything.
I'm guilty, okay? I'm guilty. It's absolutely true. We actually got another question. David wants to know, in what ways are you like your characters from this series? And is there any aspect of your character that you wish you had? George, I want to start with you on that one. In what ways are you like Hank McCoy? Dr. Hank McCoy. Let me be professional here.
I would say intellectually and spiritually, very close to McCoy.
Nice.
Physically, not so much, and not the blue. But Beast was in some pretty good shape. And I would really give anything to have his physique. Even if it meant being blue.
Even if it meant being blue. Little smurfish. That happens. That happens. Lenore, what about you?
Well, I would love to be able to fly. I think a lot of people would probably love that superpower. I would love to be able to fly. But I do feel very similar to my character. I've always been somewhat of a loner, always kind of searching for myself, the same as her. Traveled all around the world, kind of trying to find where I fit in best. And, you know, she wants to be in love, but she is very wary of letting her guard down, and I'm very similar to that as well. Hard to get.
I love it. Chris, what about you?
I think most people that meet me would think I was born in a swamp. I
don't even know what that means. That sounds a little sticky.
If I had a superpower, I suppose electrically charging things would be quite cool. But I liked Gambit's swagger.
Yeah.
Yes.
I always found that refreshing to play, or at least read in the script. It was always sort of exciting to see where I would be this week.
Of course.
But outside of that, no, I'm not criminally minded.
He did it for family. That's different. That's totally, it's not his fault. It's not his fault.
I know what it's like to love a woman. She's upstairs right now.
All right now. That just got so romantic. I love it.
Yeah, I know, right?
There you go.
Well, hopefully the wife doesn't come home. But
and we're all in trouble.
There it is.
We just got in trouble. All of us just now. Cal, what about you? How are you like good old Logan?
I don't know. I have his temper.
Okay. All right.
I don't know. I have his heart. I think the same way he does about protecting people and stuff. I always have. And just to protect us, especially children and stuff. And he's like Rogue. He was very much a loner. And I just, I've known for going off by myself. And even when I was doing jingles and stuff, commercials, I just didn't really want to talk to any of the other singers that were coming in. So I would always bring a crossword puzzle and be doing it, instead of talking.
That's amazing.
The girls were going on about girl stuff. And the guys, I didn't have any interest in talking to them anyway because they were competition, sort of. So this is jingles. This is singing. This is not voiceovers. So I'm not talking about voiceovers. I'm just talking, So I just wasn't into big, heavy-duty conversations or anything. So I just think, and Wolverine was like that. He was very shy, just not sure of himself. And but could split like that, like just go crazy, and you don't want to mess with them.
That's the Irish.
That's right.
That's exactly.
And don't do it. Don't do it. Larry, this one's for you. So the lightning in a bottleness of the X-Men cartoon coming right on the heels of Marvel's relaunch of X-Men #1 with Jim Lee and Chris Claremont in '91. What was it like to kind of work with kind of almost so in sync with the comic book aspect to adapt that to animation?
Well, it was like like lightning in a bottle. It was the coming together of the circumstances we were in, and the one of the main things was that my boss, who used to be the CEO of Marvel Productions, she became the CEO of Fox Kids, and she's the one who greenlit everything. And she believed in the Pride of the X-Men so much that when she got over to Fox, she said, "We're doing the X-Men," and it was like great because she brought in myself, Will Minio, Rick Hoberg, and we brought in all the Jim Lee designs, and we took it and streamlined it for animation. But we wanted to try and always keep the aspect, bring Jim Lee to the screen, and with all of our mutual knowledge of all things Marvel, we were all fanboys.
That's awesome.
Professional fanboys, and we're just like, we got this chance to do it right. And we had, what most people don't realize is that we only had one season. Wow. They only gave us 13 episodes.
Right.
Like now it's like 5 years, but it's like back then it was like we had 13 episodes. We were going to either live or die on those episodes. So I knew for myself, I had to put in the kitchen sink and I had to art direct, I had to all the drawings and backgrounds and color keys, and I had to go over the scripts. I had to go over the storyboards, go over the post productions, sound, and all of that stuff. It was a monumental task, but it was like a black nerd's dream.
Of course,
do all
of
this
course,
stuff and put it out there and
Absolutely.
be proud of something that I could be proud to say, okay, my name's attached to this, and I was very proud to have that opportunity.
That's fantastic. Literally, you are who I wanted to be growing up and just never knew it. So this is even like better to hear this. In fact, Willow Star 17, who's tuned in, said, I'm rather starstruck right now. I mean, this show was everything to me as a kid. This is crazy. And I 100% know exactly what you mean there. This is absolutely brilliant. But this one is another great question from Leia. What social message from X-Men did you think was most important at the time the series was on the air? And is that most important message today?
One of the messages I know that we tried to get across is that it's okay to be different.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to be yourself, and that family matters. And sometimes family is not the ones you're born with. Sometimes family is the ones that you choose
along the way. Well said.
Yeah,
very
exactly.
Well said.
And I would also add to that I felt part of the reason I love doing the X-Men is because it reached out to everybody and was all about all of us coming together, no matter what race you are, no matter what gender, what sexuality. It was all about people coming together for the common good. And even if they were, being tormented by government figures or whatever, that they still wanted to do the right thing and come together for the good of all. And that for me is definitely a message for today as well. And again, congratulations to all my American friends.
Thank you. George, what about you? Did you have any thoughts on the messaging that X-Men has presented through the years, maintained?
Well, like Lenore said, there was that unification of all people and that we are all one. And the fact that because you are different, you do have the higher incidence of being oppressed or judged, persecuted.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, having come out of the 60s and the 70s, we were all hoping to change the world.
Yeah, that's true.
And
very well said.
We had this expectation that when we took over, when we became our parents, that all these problems that we saw would disappear.
Mm-hmm.
And yet today, what we're finding is that those very same issues that we found in X-Men are even more applicable today than they were 27 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
And even more important.
So very true.
Today.
Chris, Cal, do you want to add to that?
Well, I would say
no. I mean, they've said it all. I mean, it's
I
what they said.
Kindness and inclusivity was one thing, and everyone's desire to be loved.
Of course,
an underlying drive for every one of those characters in their own way, and I think that was wrapped. It was all wrapped up in an action-oriented.
True, very true.
Story that kept people excited, but I always admired that the show never insulted the intelligence of the audience and or dumbed people down. And I think that it was real proof, at least to my thoughts in this business, that there is higher ground. But you have to be willing to take the chance to write to that. And too often we find in our industry that the lowest common denominator is catered
Bless
to.
You.
So that was refreshing with the X-Men, and clearly it's proof that it worked.
Absolutely. I think the show had a maturity to it, even in the sense of continuity for a kid show where, previous episodes would be referred to in later episodes and have meaning and intent. That was, one of the greatest things about it was things matter, and that's a huge thing to teach young minds at a very pivotal time, is that the things that happen here You might not understand it, but it can matter in the long run, and you'll see it. And X-Men is a great showcase of that.
I think that a lot of that came from Larry and his supporters, but it comes from the root of that was that we had. Larry's probably not going to agree with me, but I would say genius minds, fueling that fire. We were just the conduits, and so it was a very successful, lucky combination.
Of course, just don't shortchange yourself though, because I think everyone had to be firing on all cylinders to make that work like it did.
All the pieces came together between the writing, these actors, and my boss, allowing us to break norms, because at the time in '94, a successful show was either Scooby-Doo or Super Friends.
Right.
And that's not what we wanted to do.
Scooby-Doo.
We wanted to write stories, instead of writing down to kids, write up to kids and write those kind of stories. And very few people in the industry at that time believed in us. And she allowed us, Margaret allowed us to fight for that and put it on the air. And we didn't know it at the time, but her job was on the line because her boss didn't really believe in it.
Right.
But she did. And she put everything behind it, all of her prestige and power, to get it on the air and to let us tell the stories we wanted to tell. And, I was able to, because of all my comic book background, all this mythology in my head, I was able to shape the scripts and also shape the visuals.
But she was the enabler.
Yes, she was.
That's awesome.
And she got us on the air.
He
believed in us,
That's awesome. That's awesome. Most Decent Thing has asked, and this is going to start with Cal, but then we're going to go around the room here. Any favorite Wolverine phrases or moments?
Oh.
Yes, there are. Yes, I have a few of those.
You have a couple? What's your number one favorite Wolverine phrase?
Just for a second, go back. Eric Lewald, what you were talking about, Larry. But Eric, I like the way Eric put it about everyone in the cast and the writers and everyone. Eric just said it just seemed like this was supposed to happen.
Yeah,
like that we all met and you guys were all picked for whatever. It just when it melded, it just was perfect. And they said it's just like it was meant to be. It was Eric. Yeah. Those are Eric's Lewald's words.
Shout out to Eric and Julia. They are awesome.
For sure.
Love the Lewalds.
So what's your favorite phrase?
My favorite one is the longer one. It's like, I know what you're thinking, punk. Question is, can I get Wolverine before he turns me into shish kebab with those claws? Well, bub, seeing as how these claws are adamantium, the strongest metal known, and can slice through vanadium steel like a hot knife through butter, buddy, you got to ask yourself, do I feel lucky? That's my favorite line.
I love it.
But everyone else, they all like, I go where I want to go.
Listen,
and what surprised me was most of his very famous lines, including "Tell Cyclops I made him a convertible." They're all in the first 2 or 3 episodes. They're in the first 2 episodes. Like, I go where I want to go. Tell Cyclops I made him a convertible, and anytime, pretty boy.
Yeah,
that's because those episodes played like 60 million times in that first, couple of months there. That's literally why I got in trouble for that. I go where I want to go. I said it to my mom. I was like,
oh no.
I don't have a healing factor. I learned that real quick. I do not have a healing factor at all. Chris, what about you? What did you have a favorite phrase?
So I'm sorry, and whenever I back again to Don Franks, who played Sabretooth, the fighting scene that they had, particularly we're way up with the Inuit or something, and they're fighting because he ends up burning down the village or whatever. He's always doing something wrong. And they fight, and he throws Wolverine over into the ocean below, and he's hanging on to a piece of ice, a chunk of ice, Wolverine. And of course, Sabretooth is yelling down, "You never could take me, Wolverine. You never were as tough as me." And he just like this. And Wolverine, as much as did this, just looked up and said, "At least I won't have to listen to your flapping mouth anymore." He had so many lines. He had the best lines. So there are a lot of them, and I love them all.
Absolutely love it. Chris, what about you?
The line I remember probably the most in my head about those times wasn't anything that Gambit said. It's what other people said to me, in particular Norm Spencer in the studio, which was often,
this is my favorite story in my life. This is it.
Which was the line, is that how you're going to do it?
Really?
No, you're gonna. It was more like Ted Knight, though. Is that the way you're going to do it? I'll never forget it.
I've told this story many times, but I was always so insecure about the voice and about the surroundings at the time. I just all inside, left feeling that way. But it only took a comment like that from somebody like Norm to just grab me.
But it was so funny because, as you said, Chris, you were new as I was to the whole scene, yeah. and he, no one had heard Gambit of the way he was going to do the voice and stuff, and we're all waiting in this last line, and Norm, of course, just turns as soon as he does the first line, it's just. Is that the way you're going to do it? Like as if it wasn't even close, or you couldn't believe what? Oh, Christ!
I think I always remember Gambit saying things like, "Don't worry, Cheryl. There's always more gators in the bayou."
I love it.
Love it. Absolutely, absolutely. George, what about you?
Well, besides all the obscure quotations that Beast was given. When he's instructed by, I can't remember again, 27 years ago, but this lady tells him to go do something and calls him Blue Boy. And he turns to her and he says, "My name is Mr. McCoy, madam, not Blue Boy."
Yeah.
Love it.
So that's stuck in my head.
That's a great
They call me Mr. What's that show, that movie?
In the Heat of the Night.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Tibbs.
That's right.
They call me Mr.
Tibbs.
Oh, Mr. Tibbs.
That's right.
What a great line that was.
Oh, my gosh.
That was a great line.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Lenore, what about you? Favorite line other than sugar of
Well, like Cal, I was very lucky that Rogue had so many incredible lines and funny lines, but I always will love my daddy liked to kill himself when he found out I was a mutant. I can still say that today and get away with it.
Yes, indeed.
I think a lot of us can. And then there's one other one that people always love is you look about as nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
use that one too.
That one a lot too. Yeah. That's such a great one.
50,000 times, apparently.
It's on Disney Plus now. You can't be mad at me now.
No.
It's right there. It's streaming.
No. We're not mad at you.
Is this on Disney Plus?
Yes,
We're kind of mad at Disney Plus.
Does that mean I'm going to have to start paying Saban again?
I mean, it's not on Disney Plus. No. That's we'll just erase that. We said that. We'll do a Charles yell, and we'll pretend like that didn't happen at all. So Olivia,
let me add, before I wanted to add something here was that when the writers would write really good quotes for each actor, I would notate it, and I would reuse it sometimes to try and give them a character. Like with George, it was the word fascinating, or the one you did, oh dear. I would repeat that in other shows. And with Lenore, there was a time when I had to create a new fight, and I repeated one of her lines. So it was like, "Remember me, bright eyes," and she punches Cable right in the face.
Love it.
And with Chris, there was one like the name's Gambit. Remember it. When he's fighting Apocalypse. I repeated a line that was from another show.
Yes, in fact, it was Cable who said that originally to Gambit.
Yes. And with Cal, it was like he had so many, but the one I remembered the most was "I go where I want to go," because I used that a couple of times in other shows to try and. I wanted to try and do something like Mr. Spock had a phrase he kept saying fascinating. So when like I wanted to repeat that and give everybody like their
signature
quotes, signature sayings and stuff like that. So that's amazing. On my own, I redid that. I did that.
Thank you. Awesome. We thank you, X-Men fans. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Speaking of, Olivia Witt wants to know, how does it feel to know that you were childhood heroes to so many, and now you're becoming those heroes again to their children?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so amazing. I'll just jump in there and go, we are so grateful to our fans. You've been loyal. You've loved us and our characters. And I know from what we've been told that we've made a difference in your lives. And that's a great thing. And so if we can now help to make another generation feel better about themselves and excited to be part of, that they belong, then we've done our jobs. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's extremely exciting and satisfying to know that the work we put into the shows and the efforts we put into it are being appreciated by another generation of fans and families. And it's a great acknowledgement that what the work we did matters. And it still matters.
Yeah, and also the what you guys were talking about earlier about everything that they touched on, racism and all that stuff. And, they were always like down with mutants and like no more mutants or mutant power. Like Black Lives Matter is so current for these kids now to all this basically what they're saying, like mutant lives matter. Black lives, and that's what we did on our show. And this is a whole new generation. And it's so apt right now.
Very much so.
It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I have an observation about this that I think I've been on a television series for 30 years in a row, like one series after the next in television. And I've heard these types of comments over the years, shortly after, but they have a shelf life. So a series I would have done in the 90s, might have heard a few years later from people saying, boy, that really was great for me at the time. My parents and I watched it or something. But I think what's unique about animation is that it has this, it seems to have a longer shelf life because they're animated characters. And the characters haven't changed or aged or been on other TV series. So it's refreshing to see that it has legs because the message hasn't changed. And I think it's a real bonus, to be a part of animation. And that's why we can have this resurgence.
Of course. I got to give a shout out. We have a fan here. K-Rex says, as a non-binary person of color, a nerd living in rural Pennsylvania, this show meant so much to me. Thank you. And I think that's exactly what you're talking about is this way that it's, reaching beyond even the context of things that were talked about on the show that are still relevant right now, which is absolutely brilliant.
I just want to give a shout out to that fan. Say, thank you, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yes,
thank you, Pennsylvania.
Yes. I love
right
it.
on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now,
yes,
and a shout out to Portland. It's close to Portland. Leah and Brian. Just
absolutely
fans from there.
Most of you have live action credits to boot. Chris, are you returning for the 14th season of Heartland? Can you say? Are you allowed to?
Yeah. We're halfway through filming the season right now,
yes.
And it's ironic because you mentioned action, and this year I seem to be involved in a lot of action, just the way the scripts are falling out. And I'm not the same spring chicken I was.
You look spry, sir.
Yes,
you look
spry.
You look great. Don't say that. Yeah.
Every day I'm riding horses, but then last week I'm pitching baseball, and then the next I'm playing polo, and I'm thinking, why is this happening now?
Sorry, I just snorted. I can't picture you playing polo.
Scenes when you're 20 and your sports scenes when you're 25 maximum, not when you're 60.
No. Yeah, that's the new 25 now, man. That's the new 25. You got
Maybe they're hoping you'll hurt yourself.
Right. We're trying to get rid of me. That's it. That's really
yeah.
60.
So which
you're a baby.
Which do you find more fun, live action stuff or voiceover?
Well, the X-Men is the only voiceover I've ever done outside of commercial campaigns. So, but I had nothing. It was a combination of fun and fear when I did the X-Men, and now it's just all fun.
There you go.
To be a part of it.
Yeah.
So I'm just enjoying the spoils of all that. So I'd have to say the animation's got to be a lot more fun because the rest of it involves currently working.
Actual work.
I love my work, and I love particularly the part between action and cut. I love the rest of it. Just
Everything else is kind of it's up there.
Yeah.
George, what
Hurry
about
up
you?
and wait.
Well, each is a different type of fun.
Of course.
The type of fun that you get out of the animation studio is not comparable to what you get like when you have live action and you're doing actual fighting. And having done a couple of years in South Africa on the Adventures of Sinbad, every minute of that was backbreaking work. But also, I don't think I've had as much fun in my life.
Yeah,
and
you just can't get out of that chair now.
It takes a lot of work, yes. And every doctor's appointment seems to come up with some new horror stories that I have to face.
Yeah.
I understand that. I definitely understand that one. Oh my goodness.
George, you were good at that. You were really good in that show. I loved watching your action.
Oh, thank you.
Very much so.
Would that I could even walk as far as we had to in that. It was...
You can't.
I can't.
We know.
I got to say something here about doing on camera live action stuff. I just did a film 2 years ago, which came out this year in the pandemic, and has won a number of awards around the world. And you can stream it right now on YouTube and other streaming platforms. But it's called Stage Mother. And I just found out 2 days ago that I've been nominated for Best Supporting Actress.
Oh,
for
excellent.
Here,
Congratulations.
Nice to hear that.
in Nova
Yeah,
Scotia
excellent.
for the Screen Awards. So that's my first on-camera screen nomination ever. In my
Let it be the
entire
first of many
career.
more. Yes.
Thank you. So check out Stage Mother, though. I think the fans will really enjoy that one.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've had to deal with a few of those in real life.
Stage Mothers. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. We've only got time for a couple more, but I do want to make sure that I first give a shout out to some of the awesome support groups. So X-Men Reanimated, want to give you guys a shout out at Marvel Crave on Twitter. We want to give you guys a shout out, and podcaster websites. We've got 5dblog.com, fandummies.com, and MikeMarvelGeeks.net. Those are going to be awesome for you guys to check out as follow-ups. And also, we want you guys to stick around because we're following this panel up with an immediate return of more cast members from the X-Men. So this is going to be insane. Absolutely the coolest stuff ever. I do want to throw out a couple more questions to you guys. Lenore, you voiced another Marvel superhero as Tigra in the oft overlooked Avengers United They Stand series. Cal, you were Captain America and Iceman in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. What other superheroes would you guys like to bring to life?
Oh my God, there's so many. First of all, I like to get the X-Men and do another bunch of series, like another series. I think the Aura film, bring back the show. Yes, time for X-Men. Time for X-Men. I think that I'd like to see that, first of all. I think it's time. I think that it would be very timely. I think people would love it. And let's make that happen.
Yes, 100%.
How can they? I don't know how they can. I don't know how they're ignoring it. I mean, the fans are just adamant. There's millions of fans that want another season minimum. And they just seem to be like just turning their ear on it.
I love that Cal said adamant, like adamantium. Like I know that's where you were going. 100%. I saw
adamantium.
I like you were going with that. Chris, what about you? Any other superheroes that you would love to do?
I'd just like to be a part of this again.
100%. 100%.
But I'm always open to offers.
That's awesome.
Especially from the woman upstairs.
Hey. Now, George, you've parlayed your X connection pretty well. So you were in Mutant X, the show, for a bit, and you also had a.
Oh no! Mutant X,
yes,
was a direct conflict with X-Men, and they actually had a huge lawsuit over being called Mutant X.
Yeah, because there was a comic book series called Mutant X, but they weren't even peripherally.
No, they weren't. But there was a very large litigation that went on between X-Men, Marvel, and this series that came out called Mutant X.
Yeah, I thought they were just kind of a nice little homage of.
No,
okay.
Lost. Am I right, Larry?
No, you're correct. You're absolutely correct.
Well, then we'll subtract that conversation.
And I joined
table.
that show late.
Wow,
I was a late addition to that.
Okay,
It had nothing to do with X-Men.
But you did have an awesome cameo in the 2000 X-Men movie.
I did, and I'm very proud of that.
Yes, indeed.
Very happy that I was included in that.
Now, was that because of your connection to X-Men, or did they just happen to?
I'm told it was. You?
Yes. Okay, that's awesome.
During the audition process, the director, Brian Singer, he actually said that had it not been for our animated series, he wouldn't be making the movie right now.
Also true. Also true.
Exactly.
Now, for all you fans out there, you have to figure out what scene we're talking about. It is a classic scene, very pivotal to the movie, actually, in my opinion. So you got to find that scene. That's a new Wizard World challenge for you guys.
It's before we get out of here.
No, it's easy. Like, I can quote that scene. Like,
look at the size of them.
Yeah.
How can you not find them?
That's terrible. That's terrible. One last question from John Ottinger. Larry, what projects are you working on right now? Can you tell us?
Projects I'm working on right now has been what it was like last year. It was going to conventions, meeting up with my friends, and doing a lot of meeting the fans and stuff. I've been writing. I got a script over at one of the agencies. It's ICM, and they're considering it for to turn it into something. But with the COVID, nothing's happening. It's kind of like, in a holding pattern. So,
and when Larry's not doing anything like that, he and George get together and eat a lot of meat.
Oh,
random meats.
They eat a lot of meat. They go to that restaurant. What was that restaurant called?
It's a Brazilian all-you-can-eat meat thing.
Yes.
Oh, yes. All-you-can-eat meat, and it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. They just bring racks of meat, different meats.
As long as you can.
Here's a lamb for you. Would you like some of this?
That's right.
Shave that onto my plate. And these two guys, that's all they do. They're just eating.
Meat eaters. Yes, we love it.
I'm hanging out
with that restaurant in L.A. that we went to. What was that called? The Shillelagh, or what was it? The
big meat place.
They're all called the Tam O'Shanter.
Yes, something like that. Yeah, it was over in Glendale.
Yeah, the Tam O'Shanter, where they brought giant cuts of prime rib.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Every 3 minutes.
I'm hanging out with you guys.
And then they truck out a lamb. Right by the table, chomp. Here's some lamb. Show us some of that.
We had great barbecue, though, too, in Tennessee and Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, yes.
Great barbecue.
Yes, we did.
Right?
That's awesome.
They fed us very well in New Orleans. I loved it. I loved coming to all these places.
And Whataburger. The Whataburger.
Yeah. We'll be back.
I got so sick in New Orleans, it was silly.
Oh, my goodness.
Because I couldn't get enough food. When we first arrived, I had like 3 meals for lunch. Because I wanted everything. And then I couldn't sleep while I was just it was crazy what I went through.
That's what happens in New Orleans. The food is so good. Well, guys, unfortunately, we have come to the end of our session. But again, I want everyone that's watching to stick around for the next session. Again, don't forget, if you're fans watching live or watching later on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, check out those paid exclusive experiences like one-on-one private video chats, autographs, custom video recorded messages, and all kinds of awesome stuff at wizardworldvirtual.com. We've got a load of other panels happening throughout the rest of today, let alone the coming weekend. So look for those at wizardworldvirtual.com. Ladies and gents, it has been an absolute pleasure to sit here and chat with all of you. Literally, fan life, dream come true. Thank you so much for your time, your energy, your effort, everything. Thank you all. One more time, let's give a round of applause to everyone.
Thank you, Victor.
Yes, indeed.
Thanks, y'all.
Everyone here.
Hashtag bring back the show. We're going to make that trend. Bring back the show, y'all.
Bring back the
show. Bring back the show. Yeah.
This is John Glover, and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Lionel Luther recommends it. Have some fun. Follow your fandom.